Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of the Soup Breakdown. Today we're taking a look at the Zeta Gundam, the MSZ-006 Zeta Gundam, piloted by Camille Bidan. It feels really good to be back to actual suits after the At Guy from last week. Like, I like the At Guy, don't get me wrong, but, you know. We have, first off, the basic shot. You can fire 3 in a row, or just 1 if you want to. You reload by pressing the button again, so you can basically fire as many as you want. As much as you want, which is very handy. It's nice to have a ranged weapon right off the bat that is even just the basic one that you can fire as much as you want. It allows the Zeta to put a lot of early pressure out. And as you can see, the damage stacks. That's the only thing I've hit him with so far, but it has added up quite a bit. And we can take a whole health bar just like that. There's also a charge. You charge it up, you can fire off a rock. That rock will stagger. You can use it to interrupt attacks, and if you get close, unless they dodge with a melee, there's a good chance they won't be able to avoid it. So it can be very helpful. It also interrupts projectiles, which is very nice. You have the missiles. You also have a charge on those that calls in Fa. If you are close, she will give you a buff. That's about it. You only get 1 Fa per burst. Ah, he's got the sight. It's okay, we can... Nope, we didn't get out in time. That's okay, we can burst. And his burst is a giant melee swing. It has pretty good range on it, but it's also kind of easy to avoid. If you are up against a Zeta after they burst, sidestep, and you'll dodge their burst. Unless they're smart and hold on to it for a second. So we have missiles. We have... Right trigger calls in Quattro Bagina as your striker, and he has a dedicated stun on him, which is very handy. Call him in again. And then we'll finish him off with shot. You also have Beam Confuse on the left trigger, which can be fired off as just the cannon or can be fired off as Beam Confuse. If you hit with a Beam Confuse, it will stagger. So that's definitely very helpful. The problem is that you have to be able to hit with it. And unfortunately, it requires the melee to hit first. As you can see there, another dedicated stun. Very, very handy. And then we can just finish him off. As we go into the second round, we'll get into the melee. I think the melee game for the Zeta is a little weak, even though I think that the range game is really strong. We ask and answer, of course, our question that we ask every time. Should you use the Zeta Gundam? If you are a ranged player, then yes, I think the Zeta Gundam is a good one to go with. The dedicated rifle that you can fire as much as you want with just the slight reload animation that you can do while boosting is very, very solid. The missiles are good with some good tracking. You have that dedicated stun at all times with the striker and with your rock. And then, of course, you have Beam Confuse that can also be fired off as the powerful shot, which is really good. Basic melee, pretty solid. Side melee, you can use it to dodge some things, but damage-wise, it's not great. It does the job. Back melee has another dedicated stun on it. It doesn't last very long, but it definitely could make the difference. And forward melee is this charge. Not too bad at all. The bread and butter, I think, are your back melee and your side melee. The side melee for the dodge aspect of it, which we're going to try and showcase here. Dodged into him. And again, it does decent damage, but it's still not incredible. And the back melee for that stun is just really nice to be able to pull off. It gives the Zeta effectively 3 stuns, which I think is some of the most in the game. The O has quite a few because of the... Because of the side burst that Shirako has, as well as the grab, which is technically a stagger, but effectively is a stun because of how long it holds you. The Zeta, I think, is a really solid suit. I just don't think its melee kit is very great. So if you are a melee player, this is either one to practice your range kit on, while also having some decent melee options, or one to just stick with for ranged. The only range that I think the Zeta kind of falters at is the extreme range, like heavy range, long range. It really kind of falters, but everything else I think is really solid. Let me know your thoughts on the Zeta Gundam in the comment section down below, and until next time, you will see the tears of time.